What's up, guys? I'm Kay Scholl. Welcome to another financial awareness video. Yes, PPP Round 2 is well underway by now and will be going on through March 31st. So if you haven't applied just yet, you've still got time, but don't drag your feet too long. I wanted to make a follow-up video from my other ones to simply chronicle out my experience for you to follow along with me. Because as of yesterday, January 27th, I was officially approved by the SBA for my PPP Round 2 first draw applicant loan. Whew, that's a mouthful. If you're self-employed like me, or you're a gig worker, a DJ, a freelance photographer, an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, or shoot, really just anyone with 1099 income from 2019 or 2020, and this happens to be the first time you're watching one of my videos, then I'd like to invite you to check out some of the other videos which I've linked in the description below. Those videos are for the PPP Round 2 application, a PPP Round 2 update, and where and how to apply for a PPP loan. PPP Round 2 started Monday, January the 11th, and I practice what I preach, and I had all my tax documents already organized and ready to go for my application. The lender that I decided to apply with used a third party for processing their applications called applyforppp.com. Now, I have no affiliation with them. This is not a sponsored video. I have no affiliate links for them, and you can choose whoever you want. And actually, by now, a lot of credit unions and large national banks are starting to take applications and already have started, as well as a lot of the online fintech banking organizations as well. So by the time you're watching this video, you should have a pretty good selection of where you choose to apply through which lender for your online application. From the time I applied on January 11th through January 21st, I traded a few emails back and forth communicating with my lender confirming my application because at first there were a few glitches that we had to work through. Nothing huge, and I knew that we'd work them out. Basically, they were accidentally populating my loan amount in the same box where I was supposed to be putting my average monthly revenue. So we simply worked through that, tweaked it, got it fixed, and moved on. Through my self-employment endeavors, I had multiple Schedule Cs from 2019 and mistakenly thought that I could use the sum total of all of them for this forgivable PPP Round 2 loan, and I ended up only using one Schedule C, which was the bulk of my 2019 total self-employment revenue anyway. So I did have to lower my loan amount a little bit, but not enough for me to be upset about it. On January 21st, my lender was finally able to review my full application, which ultimately consisted of my 2019 Schedule C, my 2019 full tax return, and the supporting 1099 documents proving my income sources. Side note, there's this other guy on YouTube named Max Mayer. You've probably seen some of his videos. He's pretty cool. And well, he's got Jesus hair and well, I'm bald. Anyway, he's been making PPP and stimulus videos nonstop it seems, and he did this one video about all the fraud going on with PPP loans, which is just crazy to me. It's nuts. I mean, in the year of 2021 and even 2020, I can't believe that people think they can get away with stuff like that. It's just crazy. Come on, people, be smart. Don't be foolish. Okay, so from the 21st, my lender reviewed my full application. I uploaded the last of all of the documents that they had requested, and on January the 25th, they submitted my loan to the SBA, and 2 days later, that's all it took was 2 days later, I was notified that the SBA had approved my loan on Wednesday, January 27th. And as you can see, everything from here on out is really just a matter of a formality. My lender will be emailing me the loan documents for me to DocuSign, then they'll be reviewing my electronically signed loan documents, and my loan should be funded within 4 to 5 business days. Once they confirm that the loan documents are in good order, they'll put my loan in the queue to be funded, and then I'll get the money. But hold on, because we're not done yet. That's not where all this ends. Much like many of you gig workers out there, or Uber drivers, or Lyft drivers, as someone that is self-employed, I don't have a third-party company to run payroll for me, and I just do it all myself. So over the next 10 weeks, basically 2.5 months, I'll be transferring these forgivable PPP loan funds from my business checking account to maintain payroll as I noted on my PPP loan application, which are based off of my 2019 Schedule C averages. Now, I could simply just transfer these funds from my business checking account to my personal checking account, but because of the specific nature of these PPP loan funds needing to be properly documented, I'm actually planning on writing myself out a check every other week for a total of 5 paychecks for the 10-week period following the disbursement of these funds. So common sense tells me that I'll need to maintain copies of my bank statements proving these bi-weekly paychecks so that I'll have them when I go to apply for my PPP loan forgiveness. Here, let's just scroll through the SBA website real quick. Okay, PPP Loan Forgiveness, very easy to get to this from SBA.gov, but to make your life a little easier, I'll leave a link in the description box down below. Whether you are a first draw applicant or a second draw applicant, it's pretty simple in terms of the loan forgiveness terms. You've got to make sure that the employee compensation levels are maintained. You're going to want to make sure that the loan proceeds are spent on payroll or other eligible expenses. Again, at least 60% of these PPP loan funds do have to be spent on payroll. If you are a self-employed person like myself, a gig worker, freelance photographer, or an Uber or Lyft driver, that shouldn't be too hard because you're really just paying yourself. So for most of you, you're probably spending 100% of this on simply payroll for yourself. How and when to apply for loan forgiveness? A borrower can apply for forgiveness once all loan proceeds for which the borrower is requesting forgiveness have been used. So I would imagine you're probably going to be asking for forgiveness for the entire loan amount. So make sure that all of it has been exhausted and you've paid yourself as someone who is self-employed the full amount that you were given as a PPP loan. Borrowers can apply for forgiveness anytime up to the maturity date of the loan. If borrowers do not apply for forgiveness within 10 months after the last day of the covered period, then PPP loan payments are no longer deferred and borrowers will begin making loan payments to their PPP lenders. So don't drag your feet on this. When you're done paying yourself your payroll for your PPP loan amount, that is the day and time that you want to start to get organized. You might need to wait one bank statement cycle so that you have the copy of the check you pay yourself, the copy of the bank statement showing your last check that you wrote to yourself. So you might want to start to get organized that moment that you make that last payment to yourself, and that's when you're going to track your bank statements and then copies of all of these checks. To apply for loan forgiveness, contact your PPP lender and complete the correct form. Your lender can provide you with either the SBA Form 3508, SBA Form 3508EZ, or a lender equivalent. Remember, if you are applying for PPP Round 2 and your loan amount is under $150,000, there's really only going to be a one-page document that you can get either from the SBA website or your lender will likely provide one to you that you'll have to fill out. Should be pretty simple if your loan amount is under $150,000, just a one-page form. Okay, here we go. Number 2, compile your documentation. Payroll, bank account statements. Here you go. See, told you. Bank account statements or third-party payroll service, tax forms, payment receipts, canceled checks. Here you go, canceled checks. So it's exactly what I was planning on doing anyway, writing a check to myself from my business checking account to my other account and then maintaining all those copies of that so that I can provide that documentation and it'll match my bank statements. However, if you are using some of these proceeds for non-payroll items, here you go. Business mortgage interest payments, you're going to need a copy of lender amortization schedule and receipts, verifying payments, business rent or lease payments, copy of the lease agreement and receipts or canceled, business utility payments and copies of invoices and receipts. So again, if you are a gig worker, like I said, an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, a freelance photographer, really just someone that's getting 1099 income, you probably aren't going to have to go through all of this, but I know that there might be some business owners out there where you have expenses like this and you're not spending 100% of this, or excuse me, you're not spending 100% of this on payroll. Maybe you are going to spend 40% of this on other items. However, for most of us, you'll probably use 100% of these PPP loans on payroll. Okay, here we go. Number 3, submit the forgiveness form documentation to your PPP lender and then continue to stay in touch with your lender throughout the process. So it does seem pretty straightforward in terms of you exhaust all of the funds, you fill out the correct paperwork provided by your lender or one of these forms from the SBA website, and then you submit everything and you just stay in touch with your lender to make sure that you've done everything and you've provided all of their documentation that they are requesting in order for you to have this loan properly forgiven. Hey, if you're someone who's new to being self-employed and you're planning on doing your tax return on your own, then click this video on the screen right here where I share a lot of my best practices to help educate you about your self-employed tax return. I appreciate your time. See you in the next one.